Whoa, 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 whoa,
Can't
whoa.
see your son. Can't see her.
Yeah, I see it. Weird. Robbo, you got a new cup. What is that? The Euro Cup? Is that what's part of you're coming home, you're coming home, you're coming home?
Well, it's the only cup that's coming home.
Well, you know that it's
My
reach
IKEA
over,
mug, which has a nice brew in it, ready for another Friday night. We're live.
We're live, mate. We're live.
What's good, Ernie? What's good, people? We're back here on Friday. We were not supposed to be here this Friday, but obviously, given the events of the weekend gone, we thought that we should. It is only right that we turn up here on Friday and, in the words of Daddy Ernie, defend the thing. But there's not really much to defend, because all that has been we've seen the coverage and the obviously the words from the individuals that were involved in the whole hullabaloo this week. They've done it in a measured and mature, and you have to give them credit with so much grace and humility, unlike the MPs who stoked the fire, and of course the fans, namely the one that had the rocket up his ass. Him and his hooligan friends. So tonight we're obviously going to be talking about quick. You know, we're not going to spend too much time, Ernie, going over what had happened. It's obviously what is going to happen and how things have shaped up in the last few days. And as I said, the behavior of the footballers, the Three Kings that were racially abused on social media, and of course the whole football team that was booed, roundly booed by their own fans, and actions like that. We have to talk about it tonight very quickly, and of course what's coming up in the future for the fixture list.
Yes. Well, I tell you what, Robbo, it's
once tea on the show.
Yeah, you can drink tea on the show. Don't worry about it. I mean, it is your cup that you was going to be celebrating this weekend, but sadly, it didn't materialize. So I'll let you.
You got the wrong guy. Why do you keep saying I was going to be celebrating? I got nothing to celebrate, bro.
Robbo, you was playing "It's Coming Home, It's Coming Home," right?
And so was most radio stations and everybody. I know you were singing it secretly on Sunday, but I was only playing it as what we call what's the word? To contextualize the competition for you.
Word. That's a new word for the dictionary. Contextualize.
Yeah, I heard that the other day. It's a beautiful word. I was contextualizing the situation for your son.
You know what was sad, Robbo, is that once the Three Kings, once Rashford had missed, right, and then Sancho had missed, you could see it coming a mile off. You know what I mean? And once Saka had missed, we just knew that it was going to turn nasty. And that is very, very sad indeed. You know what I mean?
100%.
You know, here we have three young players stepped up to the plate. I don't know who made the decision that they were going to take the penalties. I would imagine. Yeah, I would imagine that Southgate had made the decision. He made some, up until that point, up until probably about extra time, he had got it right per se, but after that it was a catalogue of errors. You know what I mean? He should have got them three players on much earlier to attack the Italians, and then he went on the other side now and chose them to take penalties, which, you know, England are notoriously not good at taking penalties, and to give the final penalty to a 19-year-old, you know, is really, words fail me to describe it. You know what I mean?
Beggars belief.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was mad. I mean, I phoned you on Sunday night and you heard my voice. I was fuming.
Yes.
And the reason why I was fuming, because I thought to myself, why would you give the responsibility to such a young man? Why would you want his a person at the birth of his career to have such a one of the biggest thing you could ask him to do. Had he scored the goal, great. There you go, the birth of a new hero.
Yeah.
But that's just like, this is penalty shootout. It's like whoever nerves hold would usually wins the penalty shootout, and you could tell from the kickoff that Italy, when they got that goal, the willpower was with the Italians. They've done it before. This is not new to them. Big pressure tournaments, they've been in those situations, and England hasn't, and that's what told on the day. And I was fuming that. Listen, we could have gone out on penalties, and it could have been any of the players that taken the penalty. It could have been John Stones. It could have been Pickford, the goalkeeper. You would have lost on penalties. Somebody would be a loser, and somebody would be a hero. That's how penalty shootouts are decided. But we just all knew what was coming after the penalty miss.
And I think that is it's a tragic circumstances.
Do you think, Ernie, do you think that Southgate, up until that point, I mean, he made a few mistakes in the game, but we'll talk about that. Rodney Hines is going to be casting his eyes over it. That happened. But do you think that he made a mistake in terms of he judged the mood, like, okay, the England fans are with me. Okay, I know I've done it before. I've been a loser in a penalty. Did he misjudge the fact that these players are going to get absolutely racially slaughtered? Do you think he misjudged that point when he gave those guys the penalty? Or do you think he didn't even think about it?
Well, if we look on what he was saying before with the whole kneeling episode, and he was right behind the players and la-di-da-di-da-di-da, then really he shouldn't have misjudged it, because he must have known deep down that had they had missed, it would be, because he went through it himself. He missed in 96 and he went through it himself. All right,
remember, he's not been, he didn't get racially abused, so he doesn't understand what it feels like to be racially abused.
Yeah, not as much, but still he was a villain.
Yeah, he was vilified, but not racially abused and be vilified.
No, well, he can't be racially abused because, for want of a better word, he's one of them, isn't he? So he can't be racially abused. But he just opened up the floodgates.
Him a minute ago. You just abused him a minute ago, Ernie.
What do you mean I abused him a minute ago?
Anyway.
I mean, when we look, we got Stones, we got the golden boy Grealish, we got all these people here who could have stepped up to the plate. I mean, we have to ask why Raheem didn't take a penalty in the scoring mood that he was in. Why wasn't he thrust into the fore to take a penalty?
There's a lot of questions to ask with why the penalty lineup. But I mean, that's an internal working of the football team itself, because we don't know what they do in training. We don't know who looks confident, who looks assured when he puts the ball on the spot. Maybe Gareth Southgate sees that in training and go, the boy sucker. Look like him would have shot 2 goals right now. Come in, sucker. He sees things that we don't see, so we don't know. So you're right to ask the question. We're all asking that question. We ask that question after every penalty shootout. Why? My question to the audience, as well as to you, Ernie, did you think that Gareth Southgate misjudged that particular that core thing that came up and has been the topic from Sunday till 7:13 on a Friday night?
Well, I would like to think that he didn't. Going by what he said before, I'd like to think that he didn't, but something deep down tells me that he did. He did. Which, what if the circumstances come up again? Because already they're talking about it's coming home, the World Cup, and it ain't coming home. But that's a discussion for later on down in the program. It's not coming home, right? The World Cup's not coming home, right?
Okay. All right, Ernie. The World Cup might not be coming home, but it let's just say it's taken a detour. It's gone to Rome. Somebody who was close to the World Cup who actually saw it slipping out the back door. He saw it slipping out the back door. He's our guest. It is a welcome return to the fixture list. The great, the cool ruler. I hope he wasn't doing security on Sunday at Wembley.
I thought that I saw him actually breaking into the stadium, but Robert told me that he actually saw him walking up calmly up Wembley Way, so it couldn't have been.
I thought I saw him having a fight with somebody. You're in my seat.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
There was that going on. People went to get their seat, and they've turned up, and there's just bare man sitting in their seat, like I'm filming this sinner. I might see it, you know. And there were bare arguments. People on steps. He's in the house. The great return, Rodney Hines, is in the house. So, Rodney, if you're here, come in.
Hey. Good evening. You know,
Rodney, before you get going, remember, people, put your comments on the page in the bottom there. We want to see your comments because this is a serious issue here. So we want to see your comments in the page at the bottom, fixture list. Let us know what you're thinking about this.
What was in Gareth Southgate's head? Rodney, good evening, man. Good to see you.
How you doing?
Nice to have you on.
Lovely to hear all your comments.
Listen, we've missed you, but our thoughts was with you. Did you see exactly this cup? Did it actually reach home? Did you get a glimpse of it? Did it leave by Hermes, DPS, or UPS? How did it leave?
I want to take the view of I want to take the view of Kasper Schmeichel. Has it ever come home?
Well, it had to have been in the ground for the final. So technically, Ernie gets stuffed. It came home.
But it's all about. They have two sets of ribbons, don't they? I presume a white one for England and a blue one for Italy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 50-50. It's really fascinating to hear your views. And Rob, I want to pick you up on something and applaud you for it. Because after all the hullabaloo, I think you said about 10 minutes ago, the way that Sancho, Saka, and Rashford have handled themselves has been exemplary. And for young men,
shocked.
But I mean, what they did, I mean, Saka only came on Instagram yesterday, and he said his opening lines were, "I've not been on social media for a while." So obviously there's some consideration in terms of emotion and what he wants to say. And you know what? The irony of it is, right? I think Rashford's probably the oldest at 22, 23, Saka at 19, Sancho maybe somewhere in between. Those three guys, those guys would actually be the future of England.
Wow. Amazing.
Do you understand what I'm saying? So people want to abuse them. Outrageous. Totally outrageous. And I hear what you say that we knew. I mean, I was actually at that end when the penalties were taken. And I've got to say, that Donnarumma in the Italian goal is huge. You know, well done to Ernie as well. Did say at the start of the tournament, Italy would win.
Because we helped him with that tip, you know, Rodney.
No, I'll give him credit for that. I mean, where do we start? I mean, did Southgate make an error? I think so, yes, in a couple of ways. Listen, anybody can miss a penalty. Listen, Jorginho missed a penalty for Italy, didn't he?
Yeah.
And he's got this hop, skip, and jump thing going on. Maybe, I mean, it's pure conjecture. Maybe you don't let Saka take the fifth penalty. The first and the fifth are traditionally the ones, aren't they? And then we go round robin with everybody having to have a go. I think at the end of the day, you've got to try and win that match in regulation time. You know, a little bit like the World Cup of 2018. England took the lead against Croatia on that occasion, as they did on Sunday. And I think playing the extra defender wasn't a positive move. I thought it was a defensive move. Once England had scored, it was their half, maybe their 35 minutes. Then the Italians just slowly but surely, as you said, with that Savi, with Chiellini and Bonucci, Jorginho making things tick, were the better side. And you just knew, come penalty shootout time, as you said, Robbo, England's history on penalty kicks is absolutely woeful. And it must play on the guys that take penalties as well, don't you think? I know they weren't around for much of that, but as far as the guys and the way they've handled themselves, it's been first class. Yes, we knew when the penalties were being missed. If Rashford had missed on his own, that would have been bad enough. Sancho missed. That took it to another level. Saka with the decisive penalty. It was all over, wasn't it? It was always going to be horrible, and so it proved.
Yeah. Definitely.
You-
Rodney, in your opinion, why do you think that Raheem never stepped up to take a penalty?
Well, I mean, it's an interesting one. There's a couple of schools of thought. With all due respect, Raheem, if you've checked out his glorious career, right, he's not a penalty taker. Do you know what I mean? So I think I heard Robbo allude to it, and I think it's right. The penalties aren't just decided on Sunday night, okay? They're decided based on training, the regularity that you hit the back of the net. And Saka, apparently, during the course of the England camp, was tucking away his penalties beautifully. But taking a penalty at St. George's Park when you're training cannot be replicated when you got 60,000 people and it felt like 90,000 were there on the biggest kick of the young person's life. So I think you're right, Ern. I heard what you said. I think that the Sanchos and the Rashfords and even the Sakas could have been introduced a little bit earlier. Just to try and win the game in normal time. But he's obviously trying
get up to speed.
That's what I mean. You get them up to speed with the game. They get the blood pumping, etc., etc. I thought that was a bit of a faux pas as well. And listen, but despite whatever we're saying, those three kings didn't deserve what came their way, and we knew it was coming. The way it came was absolutely awful. I saw some of it, having checked it as well. I think it was just abhorrent. And we're being polite because we're on a family-related stream here. Do you know what I mean? So, but I think as Robbo said, and I got to laud you for what you said there, Robbo, the way they handled themselves. Marcus Rashford has put food in the mouths of young kids up and down this country. Black, white, green, whatever. Show some respect. The week before, Jadon Sancho had been man of the match, in my opinion, in many ways, against Ukraine, and he was being lauded, etc., etc. And Saka, I got to say, with Saka, when he was chosen for the squad, I never expect him to play the amount of minutes that he did actually play.
True.
So
he was oozing with class, wasn't he?
Oozing with class. He always made things happen. I think he was responsible for, I think, the equalising goal, if I've got it right, against the Germans. No, Raheem's header initially came from a Saka run. I know Grealish got the ball over in the end, but certainly the equaliser against the Danes was another Saka run, having the fullback on toast, getting the ball over. Danish captain panicked, and if he hadn't knocked it in himself, Raheem was there to do it. So Saka,
do you know what? Even thinking of that chance created by Saka, I mean, he put it in so well that I don't even think, even if the Danish captain didn't panic, he would have put it in the goal anyway. He hit it with such velocity and so accurate and straight that the chances are, even if the penalty, if Carr was as cool as a cucumber, he'd probably have a problem in managing to clear that ball anyway, the way it came in. And I don't think they haven't given Saka enough credit for.
No, they haven't. What they've done is looked at that last kick of the tournament and made all sorts of negative, horrible, abhorrent, totally unaware of this. But I tell you what, you won't break the spirit of those three guys. They will be the future of England. Trust me. And they won't be all coming on as subs. I could see them one day all being part of a starting 11. And people will then be cheering them. What I hate is the hypocrisy. Most of that tournament, as England got going, the win against Germany, the win against Denmark, those guys were being lauded and respected, and it's coming home, and we were a diverse team. All of a sudden, we lost. And then it went pear-shaped.
Reverted to type.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I find interesting, guys, is what sort of reaction will there be around Premier League grounds when these guys are playing for their clubs now? That's what I'm looking forward to.
I was going to ask that as well.
Yeah, I think we'll get the complete opposite. I think most Premier League clubs fall in line, and it's a bit sad. It's a bit sad that I've got to say this, but they'll fall in line with the bandwagon. It'll be rounds of applause.
I think
probably up until the first.
I totally agree with you, Robbo. I think it will be when the sun's out in August and September.
Yeah.
And when we get down to the business end of the
Nitty-gritty.
Premier League, yeah, and say a Chelsea are playing a Man United, and obviously,
Liverpool, Man United. I'll be booing Rashford.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, but
booing
you won't make it racist for obvious reasons.
Of course not.
And what I'm
just
saying,
booing because he's in the wrong shirt, isn't it?
Yeah, he's in the wrong shirt. But what we got now is a scenario where they will be targeted.
Yeah,
maybe not initially, and we've got to say this is going to live with them forever. You talked about the Stuart Pearce, Gareth Southgate scenario. Do you know? I don't know if any of you guys can remember. So they were vilified in '96, but they ended up doing adverts for Pizza Hut. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
They earned some change out of that in the end.
Yeah, definitely.
And I've got to say, clearly in '96, social media there wasn't any or very little. So where we are now, everyone's got an opinion. You can sit at home and be a cyber bully, racist, whatever you want to call it. So, as I said, these guys have handled themselves beautifully. They are the future of the national team. And those that have abused them should jog on or support the team. One of the two. Let's get it twisted.
Let's talk about how do we actually have a situation where somebody firmly puts their foot down and get these fans to jog on? Because I mean, the Prime Minister on Question Time on Wednesday was talking about banning fans, banning football fans who abuse on social media, banning football, it was just talking about like it's isolated. These people are only fans, when obviously we're all grown-ass people. We know it's a society problem. So you can ban a football fan, but are you actually tackling society? How does the FA, because they were always not giving them, I'm not giving them the big criticism tonight. It's not for tonight, but they supported the players because the players decided to take the knee. The FA, who managed the whole England team, they went alongside. How do they react? Because they've got some work to do, Rodney.
Yeah, I mean, I used the word hypocrisy earlier on, but let's just start with the knee scenario. The England-Croatia game was England's first game of the tournament. It was a hot Sunday. I'll never forget it. And England fans, a percentage of England fans, booed their own players taking the knee. Okay? Let me tell you this. As every round was negotiated, the booing became less. There was no booing on Sunday night in the final. All right?
Yeah.
And that was because they believed they were going to win as an England supporter. And so almost they were colorblind at that stage, for the want of a better term. Totally colorblind. To answer your question, Robbo, I think it's got to be with government. But I know in your intro, I think you suggested that government haven't been great with this.
No, not at all.
Patels, you have a prime minister that has called Muslim women post boxes in the past.
Yeah.
What that does to your Sun reading, Telegraph reading, whatever paper they read, it encourages that sort of bad behavior.
It just leaves the door open for it.
Absolutely, leaves it ajar. And you know what? If you look at Sunday with a really open set of eyes, what you'll see is England fans storming the National Stadium. Yeah, you'll see at the end as well the racist abuse online. That was not a massive advert for English football.
Do you think, Rodney, in the future, and obviously the UK as an island is not sitting in a very good place with Europe, do you think that the next time England apply or ask for the opportunity of asking a football tournament, that's going to get knocked back so far? Maybe we won't see another tournament in this country.
It's a really great question there, Robbo. And you know what? This is what I would say. Based on what happened on Sunday, they should have dropped down the order, in my opinion. Okay, just because at either end of that football match, it wasn't great. However, the one thing that guarantees or puts you in a plus scenario when it comes to a World Cup, let's use that as an example, is money. Right? And you know that if there's a tournament staged in the UK and you can go to an Emirates, you can go to an Old Trafford, you can go to the Etihad, and you can go to Wembley, all those stadiums will be full. Because English football fans and those from around the world will turn up. The transport system's great. You know, this is a natural home for a World Cup, if you really think about it, because you'll get full stadiums for every game. But based on what happened on Sunday, you know, if FIFA have got anything about them, they'd say no to England. But it's about the Spondulis. That's why the next World Cup is where it is.
So you don't think there's going to be, because I've got this whiff that there's going to be a punishment coming down the line.
Yeah, but I don't think
what it is though, Robbo. We're talking about a scenario that at the moment is still an open wound and pretty fresh. Give it another Premier League season, give it whatever we have, it will dissipate, and then we'll go back to type. And that's why I say to you 10 minutes ago, I'm fascinated and intrigued. Don't forget what we had when we had behind closed doors matches last season. We had Rashford not playing well, the boy at Man United, is it Twanzebe? Yeah, we had the Southampton player that gave away or got sent off after 75 seconds.
Yeah,
they all received social media abuse with nobody in the stadium. And as I said, it's an open wound right now. And come what I call the business end of a Premier League season, which is the Christmas period, the January, February, I think some fans will revert to type, if not before. So, how do you deal with it? I think
I said the fifth round of the FA Cup madness starts.
As I said, if you've got a Boris Johnson and a Priti Patel and Tyrone Mings, wasn't he great? Wasn't he great in calling out Priti Patel? And what I would say
in Parliament,
what I would say, you know, you see that England team, which is full of diversity, right? Do you know what? They took the knee despite all the nonsense for every game. They were making their statements, and they would not be drawn off course.
Yeah.
So while we want to criticize potentially some errors towards the end from Gareth Southgate, I got to respect him.
Yeah.
I got to respect him because
and hear this, Rod.
Yeah.
Ernie, we have to throw some respect on the name of Harry Kane. Sugar Legs Kane. We're gonna have to. He's a captain of England football team, and as you know, Rodney,
what respect is showing?
I'll tell you why, and I'll tell you why I'm gonna show respect to the brother.
Tell me fast.
And all the players in the team, which I've always said I support every single player in the team, but as a fan, I'm not the England fan, but respect the players. They were asked to meet, have a reception down at Downing Street with the blonde man, the blonde bum. Boris Johnson invited the England team, and it was reported that the Prime Minister had cancelled the invitation because he had so much work to do, like, you know, the vaccine rollout. But what was reported wasn't actually true. It's come out that it was the players who cancelled the engagement with Boris Johnson, who would have obviously used the meeting as a photo opportunity. Me and the boys, hey, come here, Rashi, come on. And it'd be nice. Social media's popping for Boris Johnson, but it was actually the players. But that decision was obviously has to go through the captain. And it was Harry Kane and the players. So let's get it right. It wasn't Rashford, it wasn't Sterling, it was Harry Kane as the captain who actually said no.
I mean, listen, what I would say, yeah, okay, respect you. What I was going to say is this, right? Because I'm going to leave you guys in about 5-10 minutes. I just want to rattle through the England team, all right?
Yeah.
Pickford had a really good tournament. Let's not mess about. Saved England time and time again. And the save from Jorginho's penalty the other night was truly outstanding. Okay, he's clearly done his homework. Kyle Walker was England's ultimate insurance policy. Nothing got past that boy. Fantastic. I thought the partnership of Stones and Maguire worked. Credit to Tyrone Mings, who was there for a couple of the early games with Stones, did well. Luke Shaw, wow. Wow. That's all I can say. This is a player that under Jose Mourinho, and I know Ernie will probably say there was another Man United manager as well. Had been vilified, but well done to him. Scored a crucial goal on Sunday and throughout the tournament, absolutely sublime. The midfield partnership of Declan Rice and Calvin Phillips pre-tournament, you wouldn't have put money on those two even starting. Didn't they do well? I think is the term.
Yeah.
I mean, Calvin Phillips.
We spoke about Phillips before, though, Rod. We did.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
But I mean, to see it actually executed was a thing of real beauty. Do you know what I mean? So,
we talked about that Bielsa modelled Calvin Phillips before. We've been.
But all I'm saying, to do it in a tournament of that stature, as a pair, they're great. I mean, some of the lung busting runs that Declan Rice made, and the fact that Calvin Phillips was the everywhere man, we got to respect them. I think Mason Mount, quite an ordinary tournament for me. I can't remember too much.
Has anybody seen Mason Mount? Because I
thought he could have been
one of Ernie's favourites.
I think he could have been hooked early in the final.
Hooked. He shouldn't have been started.
Yeah, and Saka, I think I said it. But trust me, superb. Harry Kane, major disappointment. I know he rattled up some goals against the Ukraine, but Harry missed some big chances. And if I've got it right, Harry didn't have a shot on target in the final. Yeah. When your senior striker doesn't turn up on big occasions, it can cost you. And in terms,
he did struggle in the Germany game a bit.
Yeah,
as well.
he did. Yeah, it was a little bit anonymous, right? But as far as I'm concerned, player of the tournament for England,
King Razak.
Yeah, without doubt.
That goes without us.
He always looked dangerous. He scored goals. He made a couple of runs, I think, in the extra time against Denmark, if I've got it right. That in the 90th, 108th minute, you thought no one could do that. And bearing in mind that we've started talking about this, the three kings that were abused, you got to say Raheem Sterling has grown as a man and as a player, and he showed that throughout the tournament.
Future captain now, do you reckon?
No, not as long as Harry's around.
No,
not as long as Harry's around.
But Harry should have come off, though, innit, Rod?
Harry was hooked, if you remember, a couple of times, wasn't he? Early, Rashford came on because Harry was coming deep. Harry thought he was a midfield player. Do you know what I mean? So, but Raheem Sterling, all credit to him. And I think it was a really good tournament for England. It was, to all intents and purposes, a home tournament, apart from that game against Ukraine in Rome. So the pity is that they still couldn't get it over the line. But as I said, I think that the three kings, plus the guys that we've mentioned, of all colours and descriptions, England have got a decent future. And I think Gareth Southgate's got to be a little bit better off as well. Big game tournament.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I
saw some of your writing. Obviously, you know, we tried to learn from the best. I think your coverage of the tournament, I must say, I keep going into Twitter and seeing the voice. You reacted really. You was really on the money with your coverage of the games. Unlike, not to say the other newspapers, but well done, man. Because
listen, most media houses. Thank you. Most media houses have an angle. Our angle at The Voice is always promote our own peeps. And in that England team, full of diversity, we just had to. And of course, we were just moments from potentially it coming home. And the guys that we're talking about now have played their part. So I think as a newspaper and as a media house, we had to do that. But it didn't come home. It didn't come home. Opportunity in Qatar. And the interesting about Qatar, guys, make a note of it. It's not a summer tournament. It's a winter tournament. I think it's next November because of the heat.
Patrick Tappin said it was Rashford and Sterling. I think, Patrick, you'll find that it won't. I'm sure we kind of understand how it works as a team. If two players say they ain't going, it's not going to be the deal breaker. I think the thing about taking a penalty is that as a manager, you select a player that wants to take it. You don't force people to take penalties. Do you know what I mean? And you see on social media somebody clipped up Gareth Southgate moving around the team, and you can actually see him going to his guys saying. So that, as I said, it proves that the decision was made before
the decision was made, and all you do with the decision that's already been made, you just confirm on the day that you still want to go with it. And obviously, you have to be flexible because some of the players that might have said yes initially in training might have been substituted, might not have started, whatever the scenario.
You actually see the time when he puts the question to Saka.
Yeah, to Saka.
And you can see Saka's lips says,
But
no problem. He says
the
no
energy
problem.
and character of the guy Saka, you would never expect him to say no. That's the beautiful thing about him.
He said the words you could see, no problem.
No problem. And as I said, listen, he missed it. Had a great tournament. Well done, Gareth Southgate, for picking him over. Watch out for it, Ern. Over Foden. Because Foden started for England, didn't he? In many games.
Yeah, started a few games.
He started a few games, and then Gareth.
Listen, all the players did well, man. All of them.
They all did well.
They all did better. Before you go, Rodney.
I don't think Harry Kane done well. I got to jump in here.
Well, listen, he scored his goal, so he's done what he had to do. Before you go, just on the subject of Sacco, since we're talking about the Kings. So, Sacco, appreciated by a fair share of the Arsenal fans, and also appreciated by people on the other side. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How long does that kid last at Arsenal? I mean, take your bias head off.
Yeah, I think
just where he is now, the projection.
I think he's the future of Arsenal. Mikel Arteta. I mean, Saka was actually Arsenal's player of the season last year at 19. That's how poor everybody else was. Okay, there's a lot of faith. Arsenal came out during the week and backed the player. Arteta and him look like they've got a really good relationship. But at the end of the day,
we don't care about relationships.
Arsenal, it's one of those. It's one of those. If Arsenal don't, I mean, let's put it this way. I mean, I think Emile Smith-Rowe has been subject to 2 bids
from Aston
Villa, right?
He's off.
No, he's staying. I can tell you that right now. He's staying, right? One bid was for 20 million. I think the other was 32. Arsenal have some really good young talent there. And the way it will go is this. If Arsenal have another season like the one they've had, the likes of that talent, including Saka, will be on their way. That's all I can say. And if Arsenal are to move in the right direction, the likes of Saka are key again. They will be central to what Arsenal do.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
okay.
Is our man Cedric still there, Rod?
Still there, unfortunately.
Yes, Cedric's
still there.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, guys.
All right. Listen, thanks for joining us. We hope to see you on the eve of the season. Bigger and better Fixture List.
We've got about 3 weeks to ourselves.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Rodney Hines, the great Rodney Hines. Check out his column in the Voice newspaper. And I must say, I'll say it again, the coverage that he brought to the social media for Voice newspaper has been nothing short of sensational. Big up Rodney. Rodney was on the money. Rodney's column were better than some of the stuff I was reading. Like,
you never told me that, Robbo. You never told me that.
Well, because I know you're a Sun man, innit? So you just or Martin Samuels. You just used to those guys. Nah, Rodney was on it. Rodney was to say. I tell you what it was, Ernie, because you wouldn't expect the England coverage that good in a black newspaper. Because obviously there were black players playing for England. He was on it. He was spot on. He was some of the stuff he was reporting, and it was so instant after the matches. He was immediately praising Raheem long before, as you saw, the next morning there was no Raheem Sterling. The Voice was on it all the way. So big up, Ernie, our man. Are you gonna have your coffee now?
No. You know something? I haven't got no drink here, Robert, because I kind of got in a bit late, you know. So there's nothing here. There's no wine. There's no
let me phone your assistant and let them get a coffee up for you, because I just don't want you. I don't want your head banging the screen before we leave. Our two fine journalists, and obviously one is a part-time hooligan, but I won't say that. Are here. They helped us throughout the coverage of the Euros. Crystal's not here yet, okay, but I know Sir Robert White, he of all 70 Man United shirts, and as
Mambo City,
Mr. Stats and Facts is in the building. So let's welcome Robert White on the show.
Hey,
aka Mr. Mambo City. He does all of this while dancing.
Hey,
hey, Robert, I'm coming for some of those lessons.
All right, I'm ready for you. I'm not as sharp as I used to be. And Ernie, as you know, the bogle kind of
It phased out years ago.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, Robbo, if you see him dancing, mate, I'm telling you, absolutely sensational.
No, actually, I don't fancy it. Yeah. I'm just thinking a little. Yeah, make a little one dance on that. But now you're telling me this man's sensational.
Yo,
I can't be nowhere near you, Robert, mate.
I went once and I never went back, mate.
Competition. Robert, how are you, bro?
Well, I'm fine, man. All I can say was, what a weekend. You know,
Definitely.
It was just.
Well, we'll get your point of view. We'll get your points of view about the weekend. But one of the things that you listen, man, you've been bringing us enlightening us on obviously the teams, the tournament, and there was this part of the tournament that we've touched on because obviously it's the bit that interests Ernie. Like I think Ernie's trying to work out how far he could push a rocket, and he's behind and light it. It was the behavior of the fans, Ernie. Because I mean, you told us about running out of Wembley Stadium before, but the behavior of the fans, and let's not call them fans.
Hooligans.
Hooligans.
I think we need to make that separation.
Yeah. You said that you would like to look at that and obviously bring it to the light that how has this become part of modern day football? How in 2021 Ernie's mate is going to be putting a rocket up his backside. He's going to be dancing. Listen, I've never seen the 92 bus violated like that. The good 92 I used to carry my mother up and down.
Yeah,
it was violated on Sunday. Man was surfing on top of the bus. I've never seen anything like it. Wembley was a mess. Why, Robert? Why?
All right, let's take it back. Let's go back. You need to go back to the history of football and the history of hooliganism. Yeah, football has always had hooligans, and you know when they talk about gangs, we've always had gangs, and it's a similar sort of thing. You go back to like the 60s and 70s. Do you remember you had mods and rockers?
Yeah.
Might be before some of your time, but you had mods and rockers. They used to fight each other every weekend. It was about having a fight. And then in the 60s, you know, football had firms. You had football fans, but you also had fans, well, not say fans, but hooligans that went to matches not to watch the game. They went there to fight with the opposing fans.
Yep.
That was part of their culture. And some of them, you had Millwall Bushwhackers, what was the name of the firm, right? Aston Villa Hardcore.
What?
Aston Villa Hardcore.
Sound like a sound system, Ernie. Bushwhacker sound.
West Ham ICF. Man United Red Army.
Yep.
Chelsea Headhunters.
Yep.
These are all firms.
What was the Arsenal one? The Arsenal guys.
I don't know. Arsenal must have been soft them time. I don't know.
Yeah. Arsenal and Tottenham was soft.
I'll tell you what, Everton had a firm. It was called what was it called? County Road Cutters Firm. And these guys used to carry Stanley knives. Right. So these guys, put it this way, Chelsea would say, right, we're going to be playing Millwall this weekend. They weren't excited about the match. They were excited about what's going to happen. These two firms were going to meet and they were going to fight. And they would cut each other up. And some of them, even some of these firms, right, they used to come from like the Everton firm. They would come down to London and they would do all the shots.
Yeah.
They would come as a crew and they would do all the shots.
Are you trying to say that people from my good second city of Liverpool are only interested in the shops? Is that what you're trying to say, Robert?
No. What I'm saying is the police were frightening these guys when they came down.
They still are.
They were tooled up. So what happened now? Let's move it on, and you're going to see what started happening around about the 70s. Now, what started happening? These guys, it wasn't personal. You can see now that they're like tribal. They're fighting each other. It's all about the fight and for the weekend for the fight. What happened in the 70s was that the National Front and all these fascist organizations started to go football ground to recruit these guys. So these guys started to have a purpose with them. Yeah, and that's where the racism started to come into it. That's where these guys now started to have focus now, and the enemy now becomes like, yeah, we can take that on the black players on the pitch. So these are the section that boos. They're not football fans. These are hooligans. And these hooligans are still around today. And I'll tell you how bad it got, how bad this got. In 1985, do you remember when Liverpool played Juventus?
Yeah.
Right.
European Cup.
What these crews did,
Stadium.
they fight each other at home, but they get together and they travel as a crew. And they got to High Stadium and they broke through the barrier separating them and the Juventus fans and got into the Juventus end. And they started a crush. 39 fans got killed. And England got banned from Europe for 5 years. So no English club could play in Europe for 5 years. So this is the legacy that you're seeing, that we're talking about here. It's never gone away. I mean, what it is, we're not as bad now as we were then in terms of the violence that used to carry on at football matches. But this is the legacy that we're talking about.
Rob, but I think it's a bit more covert now. Well,
it's not so much covert. What it is, the government's never really dealt with it. I mean, they clamped down more on it as matches. Now you've got CCTV and you've got all these sort of things where people do get picked up on it. But the thing about it, more than anything else, is that when it comes to football matches, you have fans and you have hooligans. The hooligans boo. Yeah, they boo when they take the knee. They boo when the national anthem comes on from other countries. These guys are just boo. You got fans that go there, and I think what happens is that the fans are always penalised for what the rest do. Yeah, it's like you having a family. You know, there's 8 of you in your family. 7 of you are great, but 1 of you is a criminal, so the whole family gets tarnished by it, right? But it's a sort of similar thing. You got this group of hooligans that go around, and they will follow it when they go abroad. Majority of the ones that traveling abroad, the hooligans can't wait. They can't wait to go over there and fight. You know, and we've seen it. We've seen it before. Even recently, we've seen it with Chelsea fans going abroad and trashing, you know, trashing fans. Even innocent people getting on the train, getting harassed.
So do you think that the intervention of, obviously, the big C, Corona, we could have had worse results if the fans were allowed to travel to the game, especially the game England and I think the England-Denmark game? Could that potentially have been another spark? Because I mean, they saved all that energy for obviously Sunday, and Sunday was a mess. Can you imagine the whole tournament?
Well, do you remember before we kick off on Sunday what I said to you in Euro '96? I was down in the city when England played Germany. And then when they lost, they came down there and they trashed every car. You know, I was lucky I had a courtesy car. All the windows were smashed out of it when I came to get that car.
Yeah.
And if he was driving a German car, it would have been totaled. They went crazy. And what we said is that, and I said it then on this show, that the government wouldn't have learned anything from what happened then, you know, and they haven't. Because what's happened now, they were smashing things before the game even started.
Man, the behavior in the West End was unbelievable. And one of the things that was kind of so noticeable, where was the popo? Where were the police?
It was a security.
Carnival was on. That's why we didn't see it. Right? Because you know what happens in it. You have carnival and they'll all turn up.
Yeah. Ernie, you know that you were doing, you were when you was a young lad back in the days when people used to drink Bovril and when you was doing the security at Wembley Stadium, when you saw those Scottish men in kilts jumping on the on the goalposts and everything, what would you have done on Sunday had you have seen those fans?
What if I was security?
If you were security on Sunday, because I see a man stretch out a little bit like he wanted to
have a go.
And his hands just left him. What would you have done?
I would have gone. Robbo, they don't pay.
You left your post, Ernie.
Huh?
Would you have left your post?
They don't pay the security enough to put their lives on the line, because that's what they're doing up there, man. Did you see some of them people who broke through there? There was one guy on the floor and he was getting nothing but some kick. A man punching him in the side of his face and all that business. They don't pay security enough. To me, they should have police there, right? So security, secure round by the edge of the field and that. But
that's it.
outside and inside that stadium concourse area, the police supposed to be there administrating what's
what it is. The
they
police,
can't put man up there.
the police should be on the outside where the gates are. That's
what I'm saying, and in the concourse as well.
That would deter them. On the inside, they can have the security, but on the outside, they should be the police because that would deter.
The security is supposed to be security on the field because even the geezer who run on the field, they had problems getting him off.
Hey, somebody, I don't know if it was Patrick Taffins who was laughing about the Scottish fans, but there were more police present apparently at the Scotland-England game than the final. How did they get that one out?
Yeah, you know what I mean? They get the priorities wrong.
How did they get that one? How did they get that one so wrong?
Plus, they had a warning, because the Denmark game, they rushed the stadium on the Denmark game. So it weren't nothing new. They rushed the stadium a few nights before. So it was obvious they were going to rush it again on the final. And the police, the whole of them was up in Wembley. Not stadium, up in Wembley police station.
How do you know?
Well, I saw the fans out there.
I went there early. I think I sent some photos in, right? Because I went there early. I was there like about 6 hours before kickoff, walking around, and it was really nice. You saw a lot of genuine fans there. They came out for the day, came out to watch the match. Here's some of the photos that I managed to pick up. Not only because they had a United shirt on, but these are people coming out to have a good time. And it was a very much a part.
Who are they?
Had my grandchildren. Well, I didn't talk to them actually.
Are they Swedish? They're Swedish?
No, they're English.
Okay.
No, but there were genuine fans there out to have a good time. It was a good atmosphere.
Hey, there's some nice shots there, son. I think you should have a word with our friend at The Voice, man. Rodney Hines. I think there's a photographer in you, son. What were we collecting those pictures for stats?
But the thing is, right, there were some people there early, but you're talking about fans. There were fans there 5 hours before that were hooligans that were totally out of their head. They would not have known the score until the following morning. They were so bad.
Well, just talking about the Scotland game, there were fans. Obviously, people came down to London because it was the final. There was no chance of you getting into the ground. Obviously, there was a chance, but there was no chance you were getting into the ground. So people came down to London. It was a beautiful Sunday afternoon. I drove through Wembley. I got stuck on the North Circuit in between Stonebridge Crossing to the Neasden McDonald's, and people were walking from miles, walking from Harsden, walking from Harrow, balloons. We're not, the balloons I'm talking about, but they were having a good time, and they were heading to Wembley. And I was like, "Rah, this looks really good, man." At one point, I was thinking, it reminds me of Carnival. What a great day it's going to be. Obviously, I started to see the texts from another part of London, which was central London, where a fan was on top of a shop front, and the other hooligans were just throwing bottles and just completely smashing up the place. And I'm thinking to myself, where are the police in central London? Hours later, just before the match, around about 6 o'clock,
the same thing for Wembley.
No police in Wembley. So there was a lead up to the incident and nothing was done. But Priti Patel is there in her England shirt talking about, I love England. But then she was then enabling the fans to do what they do by saying it's England fans are perfectly in their right to boo the national team. The same thing that they were going on their knee for, they predicted the racism.
And that's what happened.
Where is Priti Patel? To be seen in a
that leads us nicely into what on earth the government's going to do, because I can't see them
nothing. They're not going to do nothing because they have enabled those types of fans. Those types of fans are the types of people. They, unfortunately, for the people who thought Brexit was a great idea, they were the type of people that they helped enable the whole Brexit project. Here we are. 2021, the country's going to a shit shambles, and the fans are part of this pact. And it's here. They can't criticize those fans. He was asked about 4 times in question time. why he felt that it was right for England fans to boo their own players. What could he say?
Could not you?
And the thing that though, right, what I was getting at with this is anytime it becomes very uncomfortable to have a conversation about race with people outside your race. And it's very difficult because whenever you have that conversation, it's almost like they take it like you're talking about them.
Yeah.
And that's what the problem becomes. So when you start talking about the booing of fans, they don't separate the fans and say, okay, these are not fans, these are hooligans that are booing. They're looking at it as, well, it's fans, but they're taking it as, well, you're talking about me, so I've got to defend me. And it's not you they're talking about. You're not talking about them. They need to make the differentiation because these same fans that are booing, taking a knee, they boo the national anthem. And if you was to say to them, look, these people are booing the national anthem, they would stand up and talk against it. They would stand up and talk for it because they know the impact of that. Why don't they know the impact of it to black people? They don't. They don't feel the impact of it to black people. And this is the problem that they have. They need to stop looking at this thing and thinking, well, face it, have the conversation.
As you said, it for them, there's parts of the community that have those people living amongst them. It's uncomfortable, and then the other half is like, well, it's not our problem. We don't actually care. It's not my problem. They don't care enough anyway.
I can tell you a comfortable conversation I always have. Yeah, because people always, when I used to work in companies for years, and people will say, "Oh, how come you support Man United? How come you're from London, you support Man United?" And so, all right, let's have the conversation. But it becomes uncomfortable. And the conversation why I support Man United was because I couldn't go to football matches when I was young because of the racism. Yeah, because of the racism. So my access to football was on television. And on television, the person I saw was Georgie Best. That's how I started to follow Man United because Georgie Best became my hero as a footballer. And then I wanted to follow Georgie Best. Then for me playing football, what inspired me to play football is seeing Brazil team of 1970. The Brazil team of 1970 because I saw people that looked like me playing football. And that encouraged me to want to play football. So these are the elements. But the thing is, having that conversation with someone, they start to shut down. People outside you ask the question, but when you start giving the answers, they start to shut down because they don't really want to know that. They didn't want to know that.
People used to ask me when I was young, "Oh, why do you support Liverpool?" And I thought, and that was the same thing, Robert. It was like, do you know what? If I start telling them why I support Liverpool and why, do you know what I mean? They for me, obviously when John Barnes was in his pomp, it was kind of, oh, you're a John Barnes fan. I said, actually, I supported Liverpool for the same reason because I actually liked the team and I know that I was watching this team on a TV. But now it's just as difficult to have that conversation with some of those people when you try to say that you support them.
Very difficult because they don't understand or they close down. They close down on it because it's not what they want to hear. And it's the same thing when it comes to this taking of the knee and you try to have the conversation.
Yeah, they want to wish it away. Like, can't you just go away? Can't you stop now? Can we? When is this? I hate when people say, when is it going to stop? Because I don't get what it is.
This is the beautiful thing about it, right? Is that this taking the knees in their face and it's not going away.
Yeah.
No.
I was going to say, it's not going away.
It's not going away. And that's what I find great about it. It's not going away. We have to address it.
You know the one you get? Well, Wilfred Zaha's not doing it. And I'm like, well, I ain't doing it because I ain't playing football. But they can kneel as long as they like. Kneel till listen, and I'm happy to hear that the Great Britain Olympic team is going to be taking the knee because now for a lot of people will start to understand it's not the significance of taking the knee, it's actually highlighting a problem. And that's what everyone was trying to, especially people of color, was trying to get over to most people. We're only trying to highlight a problem, and we're not Marxist, and we're not doing this because Black Lives Matter's got some crazy world mad agenda to take over the world. We are doing it. However, listen, if it's a knee, a fist, a thump, elbow, I don't care what it is. Highlight the problem. Keep it in the light.
I've got a photo. I don't know if the photo is there of Kaepernick, right? Of Colin Kaepernick. But the thing is, you go back to see how this all started. In the States, Colin Kaepernick took the knee rather than stand. And did you remember how much controversy that went up to the president? Even the president was cussing him.
Commented on it, yeah. Clown.
Yeah. And it weren't going away. It wasn't going away. And it stayed there till the end. Even the owner of the football teams were against him.
Yep. Well, they knocked him off.
Last year, they all apologized.
So, the long and short of it is that, this will probably rear its head again in whether it's football or athletics or just in normal society. There'll be a big hullabaloo about it, and then it'll just fade away. So
I don't think it fades away for Ernie.
Until the next time it fades away.
I don't think it fades away because football is tribal, and sometimes even these incidents happen to a player of a club like Raheem Sterling from Man City, and there's a good portion of fans who just kiss their teeth about it. This problem has come about because of England's position in a Euro final with 3 black players that took a penalty. This can't be forgotten. Can't be forgotten. I don't think it gets wished away, Ernie, but you're right in some ways that people are going to try to rush under the carpet. But
in the States, you even got LeBron James commenting on this.
Yeah. And Usain Bolt.
Yeah.
Usain Bolt's comment was very striking, stating that, I'm an African, he said. He used the word an African, you know what I mean? And obviously speaking out that players with the same color as him shouldn't be get over it. They shouldn't be criticized for missing a penalty. So if you got these sportsmen of that ilk condemning putting light on what some of these so-called England fans did, bro, it's not a problem that's about to go away. As we would say, have some of it, own it, own your own problem, own it.
Well, we've had some distinguished people before saying bits and pieces.
But this is Ernie,
and it's still there to me. My take on it, Rob, as we used to have a saying: "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me." So you see, as long as a man I'm getting on with life because it ain't going away. They don't business. Right, and
we shouldn't. I hear what you're saying, Ernie. And I agree with that.
We were at school together, Ernie.
Yeah,
but when man used to say names to you, they still lick him down. Right? You didn't take it so much, right?
That was we was in the early fours of racism. Then we don't want to mention names, but we had some racist man in our class, and we just had to deal with them.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Oh, you had to deal with them, Ernie. You don't get me involved.
Robert used to deal with them as well.
That poor lad's got no eyes. That poor lad's got no eyes and a broken leg. No, I'm not involved. I'm not involved, people. It's love it's all love here. Listen, it's Ern. You did say we're going to go on for an hour. And when it comes to the struggles, we could be here forever. And we really want to keep the conversation going, as we always have done from we started the fixture list. We tried to just develop the conversation around football, and obviously the individuals, the brothers just like us who play the game that we all love. We try to bring that in the conversation. So we do want to bring more of it. So anybody that has suggestions of bits and pieces that we should tackle and areas you'd like us all to look in, we'd love to do that. And obviously Robert's here now, so Robert will go and he go do the due diligence. He's a due diligence man. So we'd welcome that. And Ernie, what do you reckon? When did you say we are back on air? Because you said to me, you told me the other week, take a night off radio. I did it. Then you told me, so you can go away next week. And then you got me back here again working.
Obviously developments, and we could have gone on all night, but we don't want to do that. So I think that as far as we're concerned, we're going to go off for our summer break, and the Charity Shield.
Let's be clear. How long is the break? Because you look like you need a break right now.
Yeah.
How long is this break going to be? Tell me from now. Be honest.
The break is going to be.
Let me put this in my phone.
Up until the Charity Shield. Charity Shield is the 7th of August, so we should be back on
hold
the
on,
6th.
Hold on. I got to do this right. I don't trust you, you know. When is the Charity Shield? I think you got that wrong as well.
No, or is it the 8th? The 8th. Saturday the 8th.
Saturday or Sunday?
Yeah. I think it's a Saturday.
Yeah, see, I can't. People, this is what I'm working with. I can't trust him.
Robert, Statsman, Google it up there, quick, man.
Is that Leicester v City?
Leicester v City, yeah. I think it's the 8th, which is the Saturday.
That's a Sunday, Ernie.
Is it? Of August?
Yeah, August 2021 in this world, planet Earth.
Yeah. It's the COVID, man. It's got me looking sideways.
What do they call it? It's not called a Charity Shield anymore, is it?
Well, whatever it's called. What's it called now?
The Charity Shield normally is a Saturday, right? So it's the 7th then. It's a Saturday.
It's a Saturday, 7th of August.
Thank you very much.
Charity Shield is always a Saturday, bro.
Thank you very much, Robbo Ranks.
All right, so we're back on the what? Can you tell your customers?
We'll be back on the 6th. We'll let them know as well. We'll have a load of things going on and let them know and preview it up. We'll be back on the 6th to preview the Charity Shield and also to preview the new season and some transfer news because we should have some big transfer news by then. So will you get any scoops before? Will you be getting any scoops before the Voice newspaper? That's the question, because I don't want no late scoops in it, Ernie. I don't want late news in it. I'm all I know is that Sacco's at Liverpool by the 7th. No. Well, you ain't gonna get that news because that ain't gonna happen. You know what I mean? So what about
you already made your signing anyway. Canute, is it Canute?
Is that it? Would you reckon? Is that it for Liverpool? Canute?
I think so. Yeah.
What about us, Rob? We're gonna get Varney over the line.
We got Varane. Varane. I don't think. I reckon that Varane is angling for a rise at Madrid more than he is for a move.
He ain't getting no money over there, bro. He's coming to Man United, Rob.
Yeah, well, if we can get him, it'll be good.
Money done, mate.
Him and Sancho, good signing next season.
And a defensive midfield player.
Well, what's happened to that? Fred. No. Yeah, we got Fred, but there's another guy they were angling for as well. I forgot his name now. They're talking about Declan Rice, but I don't know if that's going to happen. No. It was the next brother, man. The next brother.
The one from France.
Yeah, beginning with Q. His name beginning with Q.
No. There's a guy Camavinga from
Harry Quinn.
Camavinga that they're looking at, but he's on a
Harry Quinn.
No. Have you noticed that Harry Kane transfer malarkey has gone very quiet since the Euros?
It will do because of Daniel Levy.
yeah. And Manchester City said, "Hold on a minute, we're going to shell out a lot of money, and he's not that good."
I don't even think it's that. Daniel Levy is a man that you can't negotiate with. He's going to want over 150 million.
Yeah, and
no one's going to pay that. So Harry Kane will be staying at Tottenham in that case.
So earlier you can get Harry Quinn, but you won't get Kane. Probably Quinn. You might get a guy called Quinn.
But not Harry Kane, and I'm glad about that anyway. So you know what I mean.
But listen, we'll cover that and more. Listen, thank you everyone. Shouts to Master Blast. I mean, we definitely been noting. Guess who will be noting your comments, guys. You can comment on the show after, and if you share the show after, it's all love. Yeah, man. That's all we ask for you to do is just share the show, man. If you like the show, share it. Share things that you like. And I know you like the fixture list, and we'll be back on the 6th. Have yourself a blessed few weeks. We'll be back. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Ernie. It's been Friday night. Anthony, it's the fixture list. Peace.
Yo. We're out. Yo.